Hello everyone, welcome back again to Digital Nomad Indonesia channel. Here with me Wahyu and our guest now for episode 3, Erik. So Erik, please introduce yourself and what brings you to Bali.
Okay, so my name is Erik, and my wife and I actually came here in 2018 when I was on a bit of a sabbatical. Had very poor health conditions in the States. We'll probably get to some of that. But left to learn how to code remotely as we traveled around. And then we decided to come back after the pandemic to put down roots, start a business, start a family, and just enjoy our time now.
And what do you think about Bali for the post-COVID life? And why do you choose Bali as your second home now?
Yeah, it's very sad. So COVID had some really heavy impacts in Bali, as you know. The loss of jobs in the hundreds of thousands. And when we first got back, I took a couple of days to just decompress and go away. I tried to do like one of those silent meditation retreats, but they were all full and they didn't let anybody in because of COVID and stuff. So I did the 2-week quarantine, and then I went to Cinnamon and spent some time in an agricultural area over there. And I'm from an agricultural area, so it was very hard to see all these people that were working in the village there who, I would talk to them on a daily basis, and they would say, oh, I just left my job as a maitre d' in Nusa Dua or a bartender in Seminyak or something like that, and now they were home, just living a simple life again. And some of them were happy to be doing that, but a lot of them had been displaced. So my wife and I, really decided we wanted to have more of an impact here, and that's one of the things we love, And back in the States, if we have maybe, a few $100s at the end of the month left over from budgeting and all that, that helps maybe one person with their cell phone bill. But over here, a few $100s can go a long way to help a lot of families in need.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know about Erik, so Erik is one of the investors in Bali who plan to create Impact Fund project. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Technically, no, not investing just yet, but looking to invest here
in the
soon.
process.
Yeah.
So tell me more about your plan on the impact investment in Bali, and what is your strategy on tackling some social issues through your impact investment?
Okay, interesting. So the reason we got connected was because I reached out to your partner Ichi about trying to find some good data sources for population and occupancy statistics and stuff like that in Bali. And what I found was there were a lot of areas that needed investment, that maybe they had shown some promise in, agriculture tech or education tech, or, even some, early stage startups that just need development help. And as a developer, we noticed a real need for, good developers. So we decided, we would want to, raise money to help developers learn how to code here in Indonesia. So Indonesian developers, Balinese developers, build out a system to allow them to support SMEs a little bit better than they currently are able to. So we're doing that. I have many friends who want to live here as well and want to expatriate from the US, from Europe, from Australia, but they're worried about security of those investments. So we're looking at property investments that allow them to, invest small sums of money into either whole projects or fractional interests in projects, so that they can create jobs and kind of spend maybe not the whole year here, but maybe 6 months a year here for the rest of their life or something like that, so they can get a little slower pace of life. So we're doing all sorts of things in that space.
Yeah, it's interesting. Just for you to know that we are collaborating on some investment strategy to create impact and to accelerate Indonesian SMEs and startups locally in Bali. So as we know that Bali is heavily relying on tourism, and since COVID happened, tourism in Bali start to decrease, and of course the numbers of businesses that got affected by the lockdown and by the COVID is just increasingly with large of numbers. And we try to empower some SMEs and startup to be able to tackle some issues, because entrepreneurs, they are all about problem solvers.
Yeah,
they are problem solvers, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have to solve problems. I would say that a lot of entrepreneurs also create problems, so you got to be careful.
That's true.
But yeah, I think we're natural-born problem solvers. And I think as long as there are good structures in place to allow people to solve problems in safe ways and in ways that benefit other people, we can have a lot of progress in a very short amount of time.
And what is your opinion on, how can we create an ecosystem in Bali where international talents such as yourself, he's very good hacker, very talented programmer, so to be able to transfer your knowledge and to be able to basically empower the local talents and to collaborate together working on interesting yet also solving some local issues on the island?
Oh, wow. These are big questions. So, I think one of the things we can do is, again, start investing in education and in agriculture tech. I think both of those kind of go hand in hand, because if you can teach, Indonesia has a lot of the same problems with their, development talent that a lot of other areas do. India, some areas in China, Eastern Europe, the Philippines, has a lot of talented programmers. Indonesia has a lot of talented programmers, but a lot of them aren't taught on how to build scalable systems. So if we can teach a small group of talented Indonesian developers how to build scalable systems that can plug straight into companies like Gojek or BNI or things like that, then they can start to serve enterprise clients. They can train people to do those same types of jobs, that same level and caliber of job. So we can grow a bit of a network organically by teaching people, the software at the same time as we're working on solving some of the biggest issues in tourism and ag tech and education tech as well.
Yeah, interestingly, Indonesia now is having what's so-called demographic bonus. So we have the majority of our population are under productive age. And I think this is the best time for us to basically accelerate digital education or tech education, since our Minister of Education, Nadiem Makarim himself, is the founder of Gojek.
Yeah, I read that a while back. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Like, just what a leap towards trying to make sure that your students have the best chance they're able to get a different kind of education. Because when you and I were in school, you're 33, right?
No, I'm 28.
28? Oh,
do I look older?
Oh, man. No. You just seem so much more mature, I guess. Not that I'm that much more mature. But, if we have somebody like him in office, he's going to make, things a little more accessible. When we were in school, it was hard to get an online education. It was hard to get an education in software development. Even for myself, running an automation company back in the States, and we, grew and, we did pretty well, but we were spending a lot of money in paying developers in other countries. So if you can figure out how to get development here, and you can figure out how to get people to build their own projects, which is why I learned how to code in the first place, so I could just build my own projects and stop paying other people to do it. You're able to, like you said, try and maybe fail, but problem solve over and over and over. And when you have a technological understanding of how to build some of those solutions, you can do a lot of really neat stuff over a very short amount of time.
Wow, what an enlightening speech. And maybe you can tell us more about your personal background, like before you become developer, what sort of like life journey that changed you to be who you are today. And for those of you who don't know that, Erik has medical background as well. So maybe you can tell us more about your journey from being medical related person into very, very tech savvy person.
Okay, well, I'll go the paragraph, not the book.
Okay.
So I started my first company at 14, just doing like landscaping and construction. By 19, I realized construction is not what my body wanted to do for the rest of my life. So I got into the medical field. There was a technical training university that I was able to take and do online schooling and on-the-job training. So I finished a 2-year course in about 7 months, and I started working in sleep centers, diagnosing sleep apnea and narcolepsy and other sleep-related disorders. I worked in that field for 8 years. I ended up working in sleep medicine.
Oh, sleep medicine, sorry.
No, you're good. And then I worked to start my own company that did, these diagnoses and things like that. But then the industry got automated. So being a problem solver, I decided, well, I better learn automation. And I had an idea for an automation company. So the very next day, within 12 hours of telling my investors that we needed to give them their money back and we had to walk away, I had pitched an automation idea to my partners at the time. One of them stayed with me. One of them left and said, no way, we've wasted enough time. And we started an automated wedding planning company in the U.S.
Oh, wow.
So we did, 3 years, something like 50,000 hours, all a small team of 3 and, a couple advisors and some other people who would help us building a company, scaled it nationally within a very short amount of time. And then, had bad investor relationships, had bad, health from not getting the right amount of sleep, not getting, the right nutrition.
Entrepreneur life.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, we say that, but there are a lot of soft skills that come with entrepreneurship, where the hard skills are more about the, working 80 hours and the doing that stuff. You need to learn how to support yourself in those times. So, those are the things we're hoping to teach as well. Not only, how people can get a good technical understanding, but a good practical understanding of how to implement those technical changes over time. So we did that. My wife and I took 2 years off. I spent 2 years doing nothing but learning how to code.
Oh,
I ended up doing...
Very focused, yeah?
Yeah, very focused. I wanted to just slam my head through the computer screen many times. Maybe tried once or twice, I'm not sure. But very stressful 2 years, but very worth it. I did over 800 course hours in 2 years. So I think a master's degree is like 400 course hours, and I did 2 of those in
self-taught programming.
Yeah, self-taught dev, but I've had a lot of support also. When you work out of, co-working spaces, there's a lot of people around here. We have the Hekagou community here that we get together every Thursday and help each other learn how to code and, ask questions in real life. And that's what we need to create here is a system of people who can, talk amongst themselves, and help each other out. Because I think everybody wants to learn more, and I think everybody wants to pass on their knowledge. So giving people a platform to be able to do that just seems logical.
So maybe some of our watchers at home, maybe some of them are local developers.
Yeah.
And you can tell us more about your initiative called Hekagou. Hekagou, right?
Hekagou, yeah.
Oh, Hekagou, sorry. Hekagou. So maybe some of you want to join Hekagou.
Yeah.
So what is the requirement? What is the first step to be able to be part of the community?
Well, usually it's people who are already developers who come and have something that they're working on actively. So maybe they're just launching their first product on Product Hunt or something like that. Maybe they've been a developer for quite a few years and they feel like they might, have a little extra time where they want to help somebody else out with a project, or maybe they just want to get other people's input on maybe marketing or something else like that. So they come on Thursdays and we all just talk about what we're working on in the mornings. We do a check-in about halfway through the day to see how we are doing on our objectives. And then at the end of the day, we see what we were able to push or ship, which is, complete the code and get it out into the real world. That they say the best, validation is a paying customer. So, that's what we try to focus on is getting more and more products coded, developed, and out into the real world as fast as possible. Which is why it's called Hekagou, because we just hack a bunch of things together and, ship it over time. But there are some people here who've been working on the same project for 2-3 years, and they now have, small, online companies that they're able to develop. And they have a lot of traveling that they do around, and so they're looking... Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. Continue.
Oh, no. So, they're looking for maybe a way to build a more distributed team, or maybe to hire even, local developers.
Yeah.
But again, we need to have a good ecosystem in place to train these local developers, because this is a group of people who already, code and, do projects and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So for those of you guys at home who want to join Hekagou, you guys can come to Tropical Nomad Co-working Space and meet us here. And I would like to just share a little bit about my experience. I used to also join Hackathon, 2014. So basically, one of the Indonesian telecom company held a hackathon event in Bandung.
Nice.
And yeah, we were coding for 24 hours.
Wow.
Well, not literally 24 hours. We had a sleep like maybe 3 hours.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's non-stop, like all night long. And I think it's interesting concept how hackathon was held to be able to develop innovative solutions to tackle problems around us.
Yeah.
So speaking about problems, let's say if I were a government or a governor, right, or a mayor of this city or island or a government of this country, name some problems that that you may be able to tackle with your technology or with your tech skill, and how scalable it can be done, and you can give us some example of tech solution that you can build and make it like automated.
Wow. So there are some things that you notice traveling around. My wife and I have been spending 2 years traveling. We've stayed at a lot of different places and a lot of different cultures. We've seen a lot of different ways things are done, and some of the things I see in Bali, I think could be relatively easy changes to make. Like maybe on Batu Bulong here in
Shortcut?
Canggu. No, but they have, we call it Batu Bule because there's so many bules on this road. And it used to be a very narrow road until this last rainy season. At the beginning of rainy season, they started doing construction on it. They made it wider. They put in better sidewalks. You don't have open sewers as often to step in. And you already see a positive trend in, blogs and in different groups about that stuff. So one of the ways could be through infrastructure planning by analyzing Google Maps for foot traffic and seeing the areas that have the most congestion on a daily basis. We can maybe start to plan, or help to plan better areas to, put work in on roads, on sidewalks, on, septic and sewers, stuff like that. Another way would be, a lot of people like direct flights. I know that flights have not been so direct through this pandemic.
Yeah.
But I think as we come back from this pandemic, we should be looking at things that not only help with efficiency, capital efficiency, but that help with, people's overall mood. So I think direct flights are going to be a really important thing. And I think, with the right streams of data, you can put together some pretty good analytic tools to analyze maybe air traffic route optimization, so you can plan flights to go from this place straight to this place instead of hopping around to 3 or 4 places in a day. Maybe a direct flight is better, not only for the amount of passengers they have, the times they want to arrive, but also the carbon footprint and the cost of fuel. There's a lot of things that can be done, pretty simple changes. And then there was another one that we were talking about the other day. Maybe some form of health tag that we can have that has our identified health information. When's our PCR test that we had last? How about the rapid test? Have we had the anti-vaccination? Have we had any of these things? Like have we had the vaccine and these medical problems? If we have that maybe on an app or with a little tag with an RFID chip, we can have contactless health scans, and that could help limit the spread of coronavirus as well.
Oh wow, that's very, very interesting and very innovative. If I were a Minister of Creative Economy and Tourism of Indonesia, so pitch me the best idea that you think it can be used to revive tourism and local economy of this country.
Wow. I don't know, and I honestly don't pretend to know, because that's not a job I'm familiar with. I'm not familiar with the challenges as in depth as I could be. I've been here a couple of months just looking at some statistics. However, I think some of the things that can be done are making it easier for foreigners to invest here, not only invest their finances, but invest their time. I think that there are some good things in the omnibus law that have been passed that will repeal the types of investments that foreigners are allowed to make. And I think at the same time, while they're doing that, finding a way to catalog the types of foreigners professionally that are coming in and doing business here is important. I know there's that Digital Nomad Visa initiative. I think that's a really good way to do it. Places like Portugal, other countries all around Europe and around South America and even Thailand have residency programs set up for, smaller investments or for people to actually set up businesses so that they have to start paying taxes in those countries. I think the easier that stuff starts to become, the more Indonesia will flourish as kind of the financial superpower on this side of the world, other than obviously Singapore, where everything flows through.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of companies, they set up their HQ in Singapore.
Yes, they do.
And then they invest in Indonesia.
Yes, they do.
Indonesia is the biggest market in Southeast Asia.
Yeah, I read a statistic that like 24% of all Indonesia's property and VC type investments come out of Singapore in some way or another. So really interesting.
Very interesting statistic. So, talking about digital nomad community. So, do you agree with me that Bali can be one of the most favorite destinations for digital nomad, and then also Bali or Indonesia can be one of the best workation destination for those who work remotely or for those who work online? And if you have any suggestion for us as a local community or as a local government, what is the best way to attract the best talents and then bring more digital nomads to come to Indonesia and also to be able to contribute to the local economy?
Well, to be honest, I think Bali specifically, Indonesia though, is already on the #1 spot for international work destinations. Hekagou has had a lot of articles written about it over the last several years. Dojo, Tropical Nomad, all these co-working spaces around here have been mentioned in international news on a lot of different occasions. And if you look up, there's a website, nomadlist.com, that tells you some good places to work and live, and even tells you the price of a Coke in different cities specifically around.
Very specific.
It's very specific. Hekagou has been within the top 5 destinations worldwide consistently over the past several years. So, since that website came to be. So yeah, it's already a place where you can go. You can get a lot of Western amenities, a lot of good healthcare. There's good infrastructure. There's good education. There's all sorts of things. Even the Wi-Fi speeds and the accommodations are, very good quality and fairly, cost effective. So people can spend maybe 6 months a year here, like we were talking about, and maybe rent their house out because now they're having a hard time paying their bills because they're working half the hours because of COVID. That's happening everywhere, not just Indonesia. So allowing people who, need to make a little extra on their homes back home and move here half the year, that'll make it really easy to at least get some capitalization in right away, some monetization in on those short-term solutions. But it already is, a #1 destination, and people already want to come here. People love it here. You have the beach right down the street. Get to eat at amazing places all the time. The people here are wonderful. You can drive through anywhere in Bali and people will wave and smile at you. It's got a very small town, small village feel, no matter where you are. And that's a wonderful thing. I think people come here and they fall in love with it. I've spoken to many expats who, came here for a couple of weeks several years ago, and they just, found a way to set up a business here, to start investing here, to invest with maybe some distressed businesses or property owners. And I think that's really where Indonesia is going to be thriving over the next several years.
Wow, interesting, very, very interesting. I remember when I was a kid, when I was a kid, not even when I was kid. Actually, when I was in high school, 2000, I believe 2009, 2010, I came to Canggu. It was still quiet actually.
Yeah,
it was just like a fisherman town,
wow.
a village, and the road was not so nice, and the price of the land was still so cheap. And like in couple of years, this place has turned to be, like I would say, international village where it's hosting a lot of people coming from all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
But what make it even more interesting is that these people, mostly they are very talented people. They are web developer, they are digital marketing expert, they are, doing their own online shop, e-commerce.
A lot of e-commerce.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, a lot of e-commerce.
A lot of e-commerce, and they work for some, tech giant companies in the U.S. remotely, or from everywhere in the world. Mm-hmm. And they're also, I think, they like work-life balance.
Yeah,
that's what they call.
Well, I think this place, like we were saying, the nice people and the nice places, this place forces the life side of a work-life balance. I don't think anybody has a hard time getting stressed out and getting locked into work mode. It's disconnecting from that we have a problem with now in our, in the time of always being on our phone with notifications and stuff like that. So a place where it always gets dark around 6 or 7 p.m., that's a great place to be for somebody who's used to just working all the time, and there's always events around. There's always, people to go talk to, things to do, exciting talks. I know several people who play badminton weekly, and just there's all sorts of things that, we can be doing. And this place does have a very communal community, people like spending time together. So it's easy to fall in love with this place for the life side of that work-life balance.
I 100% agree with you. So in Canggu, it's very interesting enough where this place is actually a village, but it doesn't feel like a remote village. It feels like international community just put in one place or in one space. And what is making Canggu interesting is because of the events. A lot of events, a lot of communities, a lot of people with different interests, not only just like interest in digital stuff, but also in art. Look at this place. I mean,
there's art all around us right now.
A lot of art around us, and also a lot of tech community, people who are into art, music, and well, of course, you can surf just down the road. We have beach there. And also a lot of vegan and vegetarian community.
Yeah, I was amazed at like any restaurant you go to, if you want jackfruit or Beyond Meat as a substitute, they probably have it for you. It's crazy. Just the amount of, vegan and healthy options, the yoga, the, everything.
Yeah, so moving forward, what is your goal in 2021 for your life in Bali to continue?
Okay, so the first thing is setting up the PT-PMA, getting that finished so that we can actually start hiring some locals and teaching them how to code sustainable and scalable systems. So we'd like to have at least 10 employees under management within the first year, maybe hire 3 to 5 at the beginning, and then hire a couple under them as they're able to take on more responsibility, and then a couple other people under them. So I'd like to grow a team of at least 10 people by the end of this year, all focused on software and all focused on scalable, original or proprietary software, so that they're building it for specific purposes, for specific clients, so that when these clients' work is finished, these people can be maintaining those contracts over time. This will serve the dual purpose of allowing us to work on things that excite us and that we actually want to be invested in, and to work on things that our teams will be able to learn on and then continue to maintain over time with a little bit of oversight, so that they can be sure that they're not making as many mistakes. All new developers make mistakes, but as long as we can work as a team to kind of decrease those mistakes, I think that'll be important.
Wow, very, very noble goal for
so 10 people hired would be definitely our goal for the automation and tech side of what we're doing.
Yeah, what I understand so far, what government wants to see from foreign investment is number one, to provide job opportunities as many as possible to the local people. And number two is a knowledge transfer.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
if you can fulfill this, well, there's no reasons for Indonesian government to make it hard, right?
Well, yeah, and I mean, if we can successfully train 10 people on building systems, that could compete with things coming out of Silicon Valley or things coming out of Switzerland or things coming out of different areas of Japan and China, then we can guarantee that those people will be able to create more and more jobs as we get more and more projects. So the more projects we work on for governments and, money managers and people who want to analyze, property markets and stuff like that, the more people we can continue to hire long term. And once you train a few people, it's good for any company to have training manuals and training, internal courses and things like that. There's no reason that we couldn't make these sorts of things more publicly available as time went on. As we got better training materials and as we got better templates for learning, maybe doing some sort of outreach community education would be something we'd be really interested in.
Yeah, I think this is the best time for Indonesia to invest more in human capital.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. First, we have a demographic bonus where our most populations are under productive age. Secondly, now because of our new Minister of Education, who is the founder of first Decacorn company in Southeast Asia. Can you tell us what Decacorn means for those who don't know?
Yeah, so unicorn is that $1 billion valuation. That decacorn is that 10 billion. That deca. So
yeah, that's a lot of money, a lot of valuation.
Yeah, USD typically. So that's
even in USD, not IDR.
Yeah, that's a crazy valuation for a startup. But I mean, it makes sense. There's a lot of users. It's a really usable tool. I know I use it at least 3-4 times a week. It's great.
Because Indonesia has first big populations and also has the most islands in the world. We are the biggest archipelago country in the world. And obviously for entrepreneurs, this is the right place to solve problems because we have a lot of problems to be solved. And it means that also opportunity, right, for entrepreneurs, for investors to invest in innovative startups, innovative companies that can solve problems in the country. So I think it's very interesting discussion with you. So is there any, I would say, your keynote before we end this interview or casual discussion for those who basically try to find their why or their passion, and those who still feel doubt about learning how to code because it seems so difficult, but they have the will to basically learn the code and then to be able to contribute on solving problems through technology. So what is your best keynote for them?
So there was a quote I heard this last week that basically, a captain can't steer a ship that's not moving. Ships are heavy, goals are heavy. There's a lot that goes into them. That's why we develop habits over time. But things in motion are easy to, pivot and change direction. And so I'd say, if people have an idea or people have a mission or something they really want to achieve, just going out and actually doing something about it. I didn't know how to code at all when I first started out. I Googled, how do I learn how to code? And I started there, and I kept asking other people and kept working on different projects, and I would build a website and it wouldn't work, and I'd partner with somebody and it wouldn't work, and we would try different things, and over the course of 2 years, I can't imagine how many hundreds of hours I put into, or thousands of hours I put into, learning and developing these new skills. But as long as people are willing to actually take steps and continue to take more steps and take more steps and take more steps, because what are you going to do with the time elsewise? Just sit on Facebook or Netflix, or, if you use your time wisely and you actually pursue your dreams relentlessly, more often than not, you'll find a way to make something work.
Wow, very enlightening. So I think we have enough time. We have a pretty long conversation, I guess.
It's been a good conversation.
Yeah, it's been a very good conversation. And for those of you who haven't subscribed our channel, please subscribe, and we will upload more interesting videos with interesting guests like Erik. And
hopefully more interesting.
Oh, you are an interesting person. And we would like to inspire more people, especially the local young people of Indonesia, to basically take actions instead of complaining and whining, waiting for governments to help. Why don't we take action now from what we can do, right? With what we have. So I think time is up.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Erik.
Yeah, thank you so much,
Thank you so much for coming for our invitation for this third episode.
It was my honor. It was a lot of fun.
This is a very new channel, and this is our third episode. So hopefully, as the time goes by, we are getting better and better.
Cool.
And hopefully, you will be invited for the next X episode.
Yeah. We'll do a year, and we'll see if we have those 10 employees in a year or something like that.
I'm looking forward to interviewing you once we are there.
Yeah, sounds good, buddy.
Thank you so much, buddy.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye, guys. So see you on the next episode.